studios of the MetroNews Radio Network in Morgantown, this is West Virginia's premier sports talk show.
From Weirton to Welch, Martinsburg to Matewan, and all points in between, this is the Northside Automotive Statewide Sportsline.
Tonight's show is brought to you by Northside Automotive, Route 19 in Summersville. We'll beat the advertised price of any other dealer in the state, guaranteed. Now here's your host, Tony Caridi.
Hello. Good evening, and welcome in, everybody. Northside Automotive Statewide Sportsline, ready to roll on this Tuesday night, 13th day of October. Thanks so much for being with us. Got a ton of football, as you might expect, on a Tuesday coming your way, plus a little bit of car racing, race car driving. All right, we'll do that later, late in the show. We're going to be joined by West Virginia's own Travis Braden, who's making a big mark in the ARCA series. And they've got one final event in that series this weekend, Friday night, in fact, Kansas City Speedway, and it's going to be on Fox Sports 1. He's run 2 ARCA races this year. He won the first. He finished second in his last event in Kentucky. And now he'll go after it again in Kansas City this weekend, Friday night. We'll talk with Travis coming up in just a little bit. Football news, WVU today, holding its weekly media day. That means Dana Holgerson hit the podium. That means assistant coaches were open to microphones and the such, tablets, pens, paper. Hunter, what do you guys use? I mean, what do newspaper guys use anymore? Do they use pen and a paper anymore?
Not many, no.
Everything's recorded.
I've got a cute little digital that MetroNews has supplied with me, but most of them are now to the digital recorders of 10 years ago. They used to have the cassettes that they carried around. Yeah. Print guys are a generation behind, and that includes myself, so I won't say.
They're a generation behind in a lot of things.
So, but
how to dress, a lot of things. Anyway, players, coaches, and the head coach spoke today. We'll get to those comments coming up in just a little bit. The question, by the way, that we talked a little bit about last night, the question was answered today. People have been wondering, why was Wendell Smallwood on the sideline and not in the game in the overtime period? Juwan Sider, WV running backs coach, was asked about that, and we'll get into that and get the answer for you. By the way, if you go to our website, you'll see a beautiful picture of Coach Hunter behind Juwan in that interview. We've got Juwan's interview on the website at WVMetroNews.com. Also today, Steve Spurrier formally announcing his retirement. It came out last night, and he explained a couple of things as to why he is hitting the road. Spurrier says time is right, but that's not to say that he'll never, ever coach again.
I'm resigning. I'm not retiring. I'll get that part straight. I doubt if I'll ever be a head coach again, but, maybe coaching a high school team or something. So don't say I've retired completely from coaching. Who knows what will come in the future.
I love it, man. Wouldn't you love to see him be a high school coach? I don't know. I just think there's something awesome when, guys that have been at the highest level, just kind of they drop down and they coach it at the smaller level.
Go have some fun.
I love it. Who knows?
He's an interesting, and I don't know about your thoughts of him. He's a guy didn't really like when he was at Florida because, his attitude rubbed me the wrong way when he first came out. But as you heard it more, appreciated him more. So, certainly I think the sport's going to miss him. Though I'll admit his midseason, well, it's not a retirement, resignation, I find odd and a bit troubling for a guy who I think has a very nice legacy to sort of walk away if there's no health issues. Just sort of give it up because, hey, it's not going well, and then, give somebody else a chance. That doesn't jive with what you think of as a college football coach or of anyone in college football, right? If a player did that, what would you think of him?
Yeah, his reasoning was that if he went lame duck and his kids knew that he was going to retire, then you lose the accountability that he feels that you have to have as a coach player. In other words, the kids would pack it in if they knew that he was on his way out. Now, that's his thought. Now, perhaps they would rally around him, right?
Yeah.
And go full scale and actually improve where their level of play has been. But he said, no, now's not the time for me to be here. Further explained as to why now.
I think I was probably the best coach for this job 11 years ago, but I'm not today. I'm not today. And that's the cycle of coaching.
All right, so he ends up at South Carolina 86-49, which at South Carolina is extremely good. All-time record, 228, 89-2. That's 25 seasons as a head coach. Second only in the SEC in victories to legendary Bear Bryant. Coached Florida from 90 to 2001. 96 team won the national championship. He won 6 SEC championships. He was named the SEC Coach of the Year 9 times. And I agree with you as well. He was difficult to digest when he was at Florida, but he seemed to become much more lovable. Is that the word?
Yeah.
Or
I think it's
you kind of get it when he got to South Carolina. I don't know. I agree with you on that deal. Meanwhile, at USC today, Pat Hayden, the athletic director, held the press conference that people were wanting to hear. The deal on why Steve Sarkisian is gone, what culpability he feels that he has. He called it, quote, very difficult on the firing of Sarkisian. And he said this in regard to those that are kind of saying that he needs to leave, saying, the decision I made didn't work out, and I own that. I own it. School's president came out and gave a very strong endorsement for Pat Hayden. Over the last 24 hours, there have been various media members, columns written saying, hey, this guy needs to go, Pat Hayden. Since he's been there, the thing's just basically been a clown show with the hiring, firing of Lane Kiffin in midseason. Had the same kind of a deal in basketball with Kevin O'Neal. The basketball hire that they've made at this point does not look as though it's going to be something that's going to take them to a high level. And now the Sarkisian deal. And the reality of it is this. If you talk to people in the college game, the difficulty that Steve Sarkisian is having right now with alcohol is not something new. It's a problem that people knew existed when he was at Washington. And so a lot of people are going like, how did he ever get the job in the first place? And some of his former players at Washington are kind of saying, on the social media side of things, shock. Oh, we're just totally shocked by this. So it just goes there. It goes there. The other thing he said is he hadn't talked to Sarkisian yet. Hayden hasn't. Did it through his agent because he was trying to get a hold of him. Spent a couple of hours trying to do that, and that was it. He apparently was placed on an absolute zero-tolerance policy after he had that situation in August in which he appeared to be intoxicated at that USC annual event prior to the season. And at that point, he was told absolutely zero alcohol, and when they found out that he was, once again, that was it. Ball game. Done for Steve Sarkisian. Real quick here, baseball. Uh-oh. Birds on the bats in a situation. Here's a broken bat grounded to the third baseman. And the Cubs have 2 out now in the 5th, but the Cubs lead 4-2. Cubs 4, St. Louis 2. And the Cubs lead that series 2-1. Holy smokes. Can you
Best of
imagine
5.
that?
So, yeah, this is an elimination
Can you imagine
game.
that? Holy cow. Cardinals fans, I mean, they absolutely, hate isn't the right word. I don't know another word. Think of another word. Cardinals fans hate Cubs fans. Cubs fans, they hate Cardinals fans. And it's not like, I mean, it's hate. It's Alabama, Auburn, hate. It's hate, right?
This is one of those rivalries, unless you're in the midst of it, you don't even know about it, right?
Right.
I mean, only because we know
So many St. Louis Cardinals fans. We got a ton of Cardinals fans here.
Yeah.
Ton.
And if not for that, I wouldn't think of this as a big deal.
No, not at all. Real quick here. Real quick. Last night, the Steelers, of course, win on the final play of the game. They just said, here we go, man, rock and roll. We're not going to kick to tie at 23. Right?
Yep.
We're going to go
We're at the 1.
Going to go for the touchdown.
Yep. Not a better chance than this to win this thing right here.
So they score the touchdown. Le'Veon Bell, right, scores it. Game's over.
No time left on the clock, apparently.
No time left on the clock. Right? Puts the Steelers up 4.
Mm-hmm. Well, actually, they were up 3.
Up 3.
After the touchdown itself.
Up 3, yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Up 3. So the question is, why did they kick the extra point?
Because there's no time left on the clock.
No time left on the clock. Even if they kick the extra point and it gets blocked and San Diego returns it, they get 2 points. So it would be 24-22.
Mm-hmm.
It'd be immaterial. So why did they kick the extra point? Someone raised that question today, and they said, would you please explain why they kicked the extra point when it doesn't have any impact on the outcome of the game? The game's decided.
Well, you don't kick it at any level except the NFL, and the only reason it's done in the NFL, and this was a rule change a few years ago, is explicitly for gambling purposes. I mean, there's no other way around it.
Yeah.
Because so many outcomes that one point's going to decide whether, which way it goes. And I don't know what the spread was last night. I actually think the Steelers were an underdog, so obviously it wouldn't have mattered last night. But in a lot of cases, that 1 point, or as you said, there's potential for a block and a 2 point the other way. Those points could matter in the ultimate spread of the game. So this is done purely for gambling purposes.
There you go. There's your answer for those of you that were asking that question. I think you know who you are. Meanwhile, SSAC high school rankings are out. You can find them all on the website, wvmetronews.com right now. In Class Single A, there's a tie for the lead. Moorfield and South Harrison. Class Double A, Fairmont Senior is 1. Bridgeport is 2. Showdown time. Dun, 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 is coming. Class AAA, Cabell Midland 1, Point Pleasant 2. Then Capital 3, Jefferson 4, GW up to 5. Wheeling Park at 6, Morgantown's at 7. Full rankings on the website, wvmetronews.com. Coming up, 6:35, we'll be joined by John Morris. He's the veteran play-by-play voice of the Baylor Bears. Is this the best Baylor football team ever? We'll talk with John about that and more when we come back. Why was Wendell Smallwood not in the game in overtime? Mountaineer coaches give their answer when we return. Stay with us. Northside Automotive Statewide Sportsline.
Have you ever wondered just who are the Friends of Coal? Well, there are 50,000 West Virginia families who support the state's coal industry, and they look a lot like you. Honest, hardworking, good neighbors who want a future for themselves and their state. They're coal miners, housewives, school teachers, mechanics, doctors, college professors, pizza delivery guys, your friends. The Friends of Coal know and understand the importance of the coal industry to our state's economy. They know about the 60,000 jobs the coal industry creates in our state. They know about the $25 billion the industry pumps into our economy. And they know that without coal, our state would face an economic catastrophe. Come to think of it, that sounds like most West Virginians. Let Congress know you are a proud West Virginian, and you are a friend of coal.
Coal is West Virginia.
As a cyclist, we make choices. We choose which motorcycle manufacturer to buy from. We choose what type of motorcycle we ride. We even choose where and when to ride. We also choose to ride straight, alcohol and drug-free. Alcohol is involved in 50% of motorcycle fatalities in West Virginia. That's 1 in 2 drivers who die each year. Don't become a statistic. Ride straight, alcohol and drug-free. Presented by the West Virginia Department of Transportation, Governor's Highway Safety and Motorcycle Safety and Awareness Program.
This Saturday, the West Virginia Mountaineers travel to Texas for a Big 12 matchup against the Baylor Bears. Join the MetroNews Game Day crew starting at 9 a.m. for the Jeep Gold and Blue Countdown, followed by the Sports Brunch. Game line kicks off at high noon. Then post-game analysis begins at 3 on the Gold and Blue Wrap-Up, presented by the West Virginia Oil and Natural Gas Association, followed by the Point After at 5. Don't miss Mountaineer Game Day coverage at its best on MetroNews, the voice of West Virginia. The Northside Automotive statewide Sportsline returns in 2 minutes. On MetroNews for 30 years, the voice of West Virginia.
To navigate any map, you need a legend like Jeep Cherokee, 2015 Four-Wheeler of the Year. Jeep Grand Cherokee, the most awarded SUV ever. And introducing Jeep Renegade, the newest addition to the most awarded SUV lineup ever. Now get an additional $500 bonus cash. Hurry into the Jeep Celebration event. Get 0% financing for 72 months or $3,500 total cash allowance on Jeep Cherokee Limited.
Almost there. Just 5 more minutes. Almost home.
Statistics show that 80% of auto fatalities occur close to home on rural roads.
Gosh, cops.
That's why law enforcement is stepping up rural patrols and cracking down on impaired driving. If you are over the limit, you are under arrest because drinking and driving don't mix. Remember, over the limit, under arrest. This message brought to you by the Governor's Highway Safety Program.
Coming up, we chat with the voice of the Baylor Bears. John Morris will join us. Plus, WVU's own Travis Braden getting ready to once again run in the Big Boy Speedway, Kansas Speedway, coming up Kansas City this Friday. We'll talk with him coming up in just a little bit. So the big question coming out of the game on Saturday was, where was Wendell Smallwood during overtime? There seemed to be some confusion as to how the substitution pattern works. A lot of people saying, hey, what's up with this? And Juwan Sider, front and center. He's the running backs coach. He was asked about it today. Shell, Smallwood, overtime, what's up?
I mean, I'm tired of people asking about it. I don't second guess myself. I mean, Russell, good player. I mean, why we say he's fresh? You know, we put Wendell in that game. He just played the last 2 series. He's cramping up. He fumbling the ball. We talking about why he put Russell in there. You know, it's football. Both those guys done played a lot of football. Nobody said anything about the 4th down. He went up there and ran for 8 yards and moved the pile. So that situation is over with. You know, we mixed some stuff up in the pass run game. They stopped us. I mean, at the end of the day, you know, wish you had that series back. Wish we weren't in that situation. You know, hats off to Oklahoma State. It had nothing to do with whether Wendell or Russell in the game at that time.
All right, who makes the call when it comes to who goes out onto the field?
I mean, they have an input, but that input between us, you know, and I look at him, how you feeling? You know, you feel like he need to go. You know, again, I trust both of them guys. You know, yeah, Wendell was hot, but Russ was playing good the second half. You know, started off a little slow, you know, the turnover, and he had a run. He should have probably stayed up the middle to try to bounce, but I don't second guess playing Russell, you know, at all. You know, and when Wendell was hot, yeah, he was hot. But also, I know he was wearing down at that time. In that situation, I felt like we need to go with Russell because I knew what we was going to do. I thought we was going to run the ball right between the tackles, in which we did for a couple of plays. We moved the ball, and we got the ball to the 5-yard line. So we just didn't capitalize.
Ultimately, who makes the call?
I make that call. Now, do they have an input? Yeah, because I do value what they say. Hey, Coach, I'm fresh. Let him go. You know what I mean? Let him get it going. I can come in. You know, we got a good rapport with that. You know, and I think I saw everybody making too much of a big deal, but I don't got to ask that question 100 times. You know what? I value their opinion. They playing the game. I want to know how you feel. You know, if it's a certain situation in the game, like I knew at 2 minutes, right there, it's nothing debatable. Wendell, you going? Because I know we're going to move around, do some things. So it all predicated on the situation. A lot of time where the ball at, what I think we're trying to go, what type of sets we're going to be in to dictate who's going in.
Some of the confusion from that, Tony, did stem directly from Wendell Smallwood's post-game comments when he said that he and Russell discussed it and basically sounded like they made the decision on who goes in and who doesn't go in. But as Juwan says, he does talk to those guys, but it's his decision on who is playing. But, again, like probably any good coach should, you do check with your players, and when you're in a rotation basis, who's tired, who's not tired. So, but again, Wendell's answer after the game probably led to more confusion than anything else.
So Juwan Sider says that the reason that Shell was out there instead of Smallwood, a couple of different reasons. He said, number one, Smallwood had just played the last 2 possessions and that he was starting to cramp, that they thought they were going to run the ball between the tackles, which is something that Shell would do, as well, or that's kind of his bread and butter rather than trying to attack the perimeter. And he said, obviously, no one was complaining when he gained 8 yards on the first 4th down in overtime when it was 4th down and 2. And then he said that obviously he talks with them, but ultimately they don't make the final decision. Kind of makes more sense. I mean, when you first heard it, well, we just take turns or things like that. That's kind of like never ever heard of that before.
No.
And so, sure, he values their input, but ultimately he's making that call. Dana Holgerson, I asked him about it as well today. He said the reality of it is this. Wendell Smallwood had not taken a snap the entire week in practice. He says it's the second time in my career that I've let a player play that hadn't practiced in the previous week, and the other one was Justin Blackman when he was at Oklahoma State. So they didn't know what they were going to get. He also mentioned that they thought he was starting to tire, to fatigue after 2 straight possessions, that he was cramping, and as a result of that, that's the call.
And going forward, his health status still isn't real good. They're still concerned about how healthy he is going to be going to Baylor. No,
absolutely. Absolutely. They were going to wait and see. So he's still limping around. He was on the field yesterday and saw him yesterday, and that he was still limping around. Let's stay a little bit here with Juwan Sider. He was asked about the running back position. I think Dana Holgerson said something today. If you read between the lines, he said, I've got 2 running backs.
Mm-hmm.
So in other words, at this point, I've got 2 running backs. That's why William Crest was out there, because the other 2 behind Smallwood and Shell, who would be Jackie Marcellus and Dante Thomas Williams, are not doing what the coaches want to see in practice in order to warrant them playing time. And Juwan was asked about that earlier today.
I think anytime when you bring up running backs, to me, running backs should just be able to go run and be natural. With Dante, it took more teaching with him, more than you thought it was going to take. With him, and just learning how to aim and point. If it's outside zone, learning how to aim at the outside hip of the tight end, or inside zone, empire hip, just little things like that he took for granted would never be consistent of. It was always you running outside, he was running inside. Just the little things that become big things in the game. If you don't do that, that's a negative play. You don't check this way on protection, or you have an opposite call to run this way. Just the stuff that, as a young kid, you constantly got to keep reminding him to do it. And at some point, it can't just be coaching, got to be a player. Like, I got to earn my check, he got to earn his scholarship. And that's what I told him. And I think, just a combination, a lot of stuff off the field, dealing with stuff back home, the kids starting to settle in right now. And he's becoming a better teammate, not just him and Will Crest are so close. And a lot of times you get caught up in, them kids, I'm sure, being highly touted, thought they was going to come in and be the guy right away. And some of that stuff can be so negative, don't allow you to focus in on the positive things. So, and now he just, like I said, he become a better teammate, which allowed him to be a better student of the game. So, I'm going to force a lot of reps into him this week, and see how he responds. I thought he did a good enough job last week where I felt comfortable him being, probably the next guy between him and Eli going in.
All right, so there you go. That's Juwan Sider talking about Dante Thomas Williams. Highly touted kid, but at this point has not been able to be consistent enough to crack in there to get significant snaps.
Yeah, and certainly is needed. Something is needed because, as you're seeing, Wendell's starting to break down a little bit. We're not even at the halfway point of the season. Russell Shell had injury problems last year. you continue to force feed those two and only those two all your snaps, boy, you're going to have some issues. Somebody, and maybe it's William Crest, can take some of the load off, but more than likely, Dante Thomas-Williams is going to have to be a guy that's going to give you some significant snaps.
Absolutely. Got to get going. We'll take a break. When we come back, what's up with the Baylor Bears? John Morris, the play-by-play voice of Baylor, joins us when we return.
To navigate any map, you need a legend like the capable Jeep Cherokee, 4-Wheeler Magazine's 2015 4-Wheeler of the Year, and Jeep Grand Cherokee, the most awarded SUV ever, with best-in-class 30 mpg highway and 730-mile driving range. So you can push even farther into uncharted and unmapped territory. Get a great deal on the most awarded and legendary SUV lineup ever at the Jeep Celebration event. Well-qualified lessees of competitive vehicles get a low-mileage lease on the 2015 Grand Cherokee Laredo 4x4 with 24 mpg highway for $299 a month for 39 months with $24.99 due at signing, tax, title, and license extra. The Jeep SUV lineup has received more awards in its lifetime than any other competitive SUV lineup. EPA estimated 4x2 with available EcoDiesel V6 and 24.6-gallon fuel tank. Call 1-888-925-JEEP for details. Requires dealer contribution on lease through Chrysler Capital. 25-cent charge for each mile over 32,500. Residency restrictions apply. Take delivery by 11/2. Jeep is a registered trademark of FCA US LLC.
Fire is swift and deadly. Early warning is critical. Smoke alarms are an essential early warning tool to protect yourself, your loved ones, your home, and possessions if a fire was to break out. If you don't have smoke alarms in your home, go and get them now. If you do have them, go and test them to make sure they're working. Not having working smoke alarms in your home is just plain deadly. This is West Virginia State Fire Marshal Ken Tyree. Home fire safety, it's in your hands.
Hi, it's Tony Caridi. If you're in a business or organization that needs visual help, then let's get together and talk. For more than a decade now, those of us at Pikewood Creative have embraced the opportunity to help people just like you tell their story visually. Whether it's a video, commercial, animation, or motion graphics piece, we produce content that make others take notice. We help people increase their business and organizations better tell their story. If you need help, then contact us at pikewoodcreative.com.
The Northside Automotive statewide Sportsline returns in 2 minutes, on MetroNews. For 30 years, the voice of West Virginia.
To navigate any map, you need a legend like Jeep Cherokee, 2015 4-Wheeler of the Year. Jeep Grand Cherokee, the most awarded SUV ever. And introducing Jeep Renegade, the newest addition to the most awarded SUV lineup ever. Now get an additional $500 bonus cash. Hurry into the Jeep Celebration event. Get 0% financing for 72 months or $3,500 total cash allowance on Jeep Cherokee Limited.
Almost there. Just 5 more minutes. Almost home.
Statistics show that 80% of auto fatalities occur close to home on rural roads.
Gosh, cops.
That's why law enforcement is stepping up rural patrols and cracking down on impaired driving. If you are over the limit, you are under arrest because drinking and driving don't mix. Remember, over the limit, under arrest. This message brought to you by the Governor's Highway Safety Program.
Folks, we got ourselves a dandy between the Cardinals and the Cubs. When we came on, I told you that Chicago is leading 4-2 in this basically an elimination game for the Cardinals. Well, Chicago has just allowed St. Louis to score twice in the 6th inning, and there was a play at the plate for the go-ahead run to score. Unbelievable throw from right field, and they throw out the potential go-ahead run for the 3rd out, and so now it is a 4-4 tie between the Cardinals and the Cubs as they head into the bottom half of the 6th at Wrigley. From baseball, we go to football right now, and the voice of the Baylor Bears joins us, John Morris. Good evening to you, J-Mo.
You know, I like your baseball recreation. That kind of harkens back.
Yeah, I need to get a ticker tape and like a bat and a piece of wood, right? And do that thing.
Yeah.
That'd be pretty good.
Get some sound effects to go with it. That'd be great.
I tell you what, the way the business is going now, you know, the Toronto Maple Leafs are not sending their radio announcers to road games this year.
Really?
Yeah, they're doing them from inside the studio to save money.
I don't like that.
How about that, John? How about that? What do you think of that?
We had a basketball game last year where ESPN did that. There were no announcers on site.
Yeah, we had one too.
That's a disturbing trend to me. I just think there's stuff for obvious reasons, right?
No, you're right. There's stuff you miss. I don't care.
Yeah.
I mean, yeah, you can save money, but there's absolutely so much that goes on inside, outside, upside down that would take away from the thing. But that's another story for another day.
I agree.
Hey, buddy, you've been at this a long time. You've seen Baylor for many, many years. Potentially, is this the best team ever?
I think it is. I think it's the best one I've seen. And, you know, last year was really good. 2 years ago was really good. The 1980 team won the Southwest Conference, you know, by 3 games. They were really good, led the league in total offense and total defense. But I think this one, has, you know, just has everything. And I think it might be the best that I've seen. Obviously, you know, the offensive numbers speak for themselves, but 9 defensive starters back from that team last year. And they can play better. You know, I don't think this defense has played as well as they're capable of yet this year. So, yeah, to answer your question, I think it might be the best one I've ever seen here.
As you know, college sports is cyclical because basically these kids have a 5-year window, 4 to 5 year, obviously. If you redshirt, when I looked at your offensive line today, I mean, it looks like you've reached that point where it's just like it's the perfect cycle. I mean, there's guys there with just so many starts, and we all know that's the key to success. The amazing thing is the doggone quarterback deal that you guys have been going through. I mean, they've become interchangeable. These guys just go out there and they just one after the other just put up huge numbers.
Yeah, it's pretty amazing. The offensive line first. I mean, that is a real strength of this team. I'm beating that drum. Those guys are really good. Of the top 6, and that would include Desmond Hilliard, who's not a starter. 5 of those guys are seniors. The other's a redshirt junior, Kyle Fuller, who starts at center. So they are experienced, they're big and strong, and they are just really, really good. So a big part of Baylor's success offensively is credited to that offensive line. And then the quarterback, you know, the succession line has been really good here lately, from Robert Griffin to Nick Florence for a year to Bryce Petty for 2 years, and now Seth Russell. And I think Seth is and certainly can be every bit the quarterback that those other guys have been. He's got a great arm. He can run like the wind, and he likes to run, you know, when it can be a positive play, not just a scramble to get out of danger. So it's been, you're right, it's been a really good line of succession there at quarterback for Baylor as well.
Yeah, I was watching tape today, and I'm just watching Seth Russell throw the ball, and you're right. I mean, you talk about looking comfortable. I mean, it looks like pickup football at times in the backyard. I mean, he just whips that ball around there, and then when the time comes to run, absolutely no hesitation. He scoots upfield. Just really, really impressive.
Yeah, he's very athletic, you know, and it's almost like he's a redshirt junior, so he's been around a while, and it's almost like the game has slowed down to the point that he is just very much in control back there at quarterback, and he just, you know, goes through his progression, sees who he wants to throw it to, nice, easy throw, and it's usually right on target.
John, Tony and I, like so many others, have always said it's about the Jimmies and Joes and not the X's and O's, but with this Baylor offense, it almost looks plug and play. That seemingly doesn't matter who is in there. As you talked about the quarterbacks, wide receivers, running backs, even since West Virginia's been here, they've been different guys, but they've all been incredibly successful. I mean, is this the one scheme that, I don't want to say anybody can play, but is just impossible to stop?
Yeah, I understand the question, and I understand that thinking, but I also think that's not giving these guys enough credit. You know what I mean?
Sure.
I mean, these are really good players that are that are manning those positions. Corey Coleman is, I think, as good a receiver as there is in the country. He just makes plays. He bails Seth out sometimes by making plays on throws that aren't perfect. And then our running back, Shock Linwood, is really good. He's going to leave here most likely, if he stays healthy, as the all-time leading rusher at Baylor. And then the quarterbacks, those guys are good. I understand when people say it's the system, and somebody just plugs into the system. Certainly the system helps them because it meets their skills, but they've also got a skill set that fits the system very well. So I think it's obviously mutually beneficial for everybody.
Baylor play-by-play voice John Morris is our guest. And Dana, I think Holgerson said today, that's what he indicated. He feels that the recruiting at Baylor has just continued to climb this ladder, and now they have just reached the point where, in his opinion, they've got as talented a group of players that he's ever seen assembled. And that has come as the result of Baylor successfully winning recruiting battles that in the past perhaps they weren't winning. I mean, you're taking kids at this point that used to be going to Texas, and so you've got just an overall improved talent level. I'll tell you this, Coach Hunter, about their offensive. If you or I were out there as those wideouts, it wouldn't work. It wouldn't work as well. When did it start to become cool, in your opinion, to play at Baylor? Was Robert Griffin III, was he the tipping point of swinging your recruiting?
I think he was, and obviously that's Coach Briles. When Coach Briles got here, he's pretty cool himself. But when Robert came here, and all of a sudden, you can put a Heisman up there. That carries a lot of weight when you can go into homes or when recruits come in and you can walk them by. Oh yeah, there's the Heisman Trophy sitting over there. Maybe you'd have a chance to win one of those if you come to Baylor. So yeah, Robert really was the one guy that helped turn things recruiting wise and so many other ways too. I mean, you'll see our stadium on Saturday. That we wouldn't be playing in that stadium right now if Robert hadn't had that year and won the Heisman, because that's what got everybody excited to the point that they opened up their pocketbooks and we're playing in a new stadium in large part because of him.
It'll be West Virginia's first trip into there, so obviously it'll be our first trip into that stadium. How much is that helping win those recruiting wars?
I think it helps a lot. I think it's not the biggest stadium in the world. It's a good size for us, but it's a great setting. It's right on I-35, and there's 45 million cars that drive up and down I-35 every year. So it's a great location. It's right on the Brazos River. You guys will see from your booth, and you got a good-sized booth, and it's right near midfield too, by the way.
Thank you, John. Thank you.
Yes. I'd like to take credit, but I can't. But you'll see from there, you look to your right, and you'll see the Brazos River and a bridge that connects, that side of the river to campus. Campus is right on the other side. It's just beautiful, and all of our facilities are down here now on campus or just off campus. So, I think when you walk recruits around at McLean Stadium or have them there on a game day, and credit our fans for making it a really good atmosphere here, I think that's a real, winning sell when you've got recruits on campus.
With all of this being said, what, in your opinion, after watching these Bears, how do you beat them? I mean, they haven't lost often. What's the key?
Somebody asked me that 2 weeks ago. He said, what's the kryptonite for Baylor?
Yeah.
I don't know what it is. I mean, everybody can have a bad day. Everybody can have an off day. The game up in Morgantown last year proved that. I mean, you guys played really, really well. Baylor got flustered, I think, and that was a big part of all the penalties. Remember the penalties on both teams up there last year.
Yep.
So we'll hope we don't have a repeat of that. But, you still you can have the scheme, you can have the players, but you still got to go out and do it. And, if you have an off day, and Bryce Petty had an off day last year. He was in a stretch. You remember leading into your game, we played Texas in Austin. He didn't have a great game there. Played TCU here. He had one good quarter, and it was a really good quarter. We scored 24 unanswered points in the fourth quarter to beat TCU, and then had sort of an off day, and credit the West Virginia defense for that up there. So those things can happen. If your quarterback's not on, that just throws everything out of kilter. So I guess, that could happen at any point. I'm hoping it doesn't, but it could happen anywhere.
John, West Virginia blitzed like crazy last year and really caused Bryce Petty, who wasn't accurate at that day to begin with, to get a little bit flustered. Has anybody tried to do that to Seth Russell to that extent?
Not really. We haven't really seen that much, and I'm not sure if that's the nature of who we played so far. Or, Tech did it a few times and didn't have any success. Kansas really didn't do it. None of the non-conference schools really tried it. But I think Seth is better equipped than even Bryce. And Bryce is in the NFL now, with the Jets. But Seth is better equipped to handle that. He's got really good mobility. He's got the option to take off and run at any point and make a really positive play through his legs. So maybe we'll see it this Saturday. But so far it hadn't been a real issue.
Yeah. John, great stuff as usual. We appreciate the time, buddy. I'll talk to you tomorrow.
Look forward to it. Tony, thanks.
All right,
guys,
bud.
Travel safe.
We'll see you on Saturday. Thank you. There he is, John Morris, one of the great guys in the business, play-by-play voice of the Baylor Bears. We'll take a break. We'll hook up with WVU student/racer Travis Braden when we come back. Northside Automotive, statewide sports line.
You know who taught me to use a hands-free device while driving? My mom. She scared me to death all through school with that phone up to her ear, driving us back and forth. Now that I'm on the road solo, I tell my mom, I'm worried about you. Go hands-free with the phone when you're driving. I do. It's important to set a good example for parents, so when she rides with me, I turn it off, put it down, and just drive.
The West Virginia Department of Transportation, saving one life at a time.
Good-paying jobs with great benefits are available now. As a correctional officer with the West Virginia Division of Corrections, you'll also have educational opportunities for a degree in criminal justice at reduced prices. High school diploma or GED and drug screening required. Take advantage of an accelerated hiring and training process that other state agencies don't offer. National Guard members get partial credit in the Training Academy. Visit WVDOC.com.
Every year in October, the New River Gorge Bridge closes to traffic for one day and opens for Bridge Day. On October 17th, base jumpers, rappellers, and spectators will gather to share the excitement and spectacle. Stop by GoMart, fill up your tank, and check out 180 craft and food vendors brought to you by Fayette County Bank, the Whiskey 7 and All Veterans Parachute Team jumps, and fun and adventures on the gorge. Call 304-465-5617 to sign up for shuttle service for Bridge Day, October 17th. The
Northside Automotive statewide sports line returns in 2 minutes, on MetroNews. For 30 years, the voice of West Virginia.
To navigate any map, you need a legend like Jeep Cherokee, 2015 Four-Wheeler of the Year. Jeep Grand Cherokee, the most awarded SUV ever. And introducing Jeep Renegade, the newest addition to the most awarded SUV lineup ever. Now get an additional $500 bonus cash. Hurry into the Jeep Celebration event. Get 0% financing for 72 months or $3,500 total cash allowance on Jeep Cherokee Limited.
Almost there. Just 5 more minutes. Almost home.
Statistics show that 80% of auto fatalities occur close to home on rural roads.
Cops.
That's why law enforcement is stepping up rural patrols and cracking down on impaired driving. If you are over the limit, you are under arrest because drinking and driving don't mix. Remember, over the limit, under arrest. This message brought to you by the Governor's Highway Safety Program.
Chicago responds, solo homer in the bottom half of the 6th inning. They've now taken the lead back from St. Louis. Cubs 5, Cardinals 4. They're playing in the top half of the 7th inning, and there are one away. There is one away at this point. What should you do in West Virginia? You know, if you're not heading to the Baylor game this weekend and you're in state, what do? What is there to do? This is what there is to do. Go to the website, go2wv.com. That's go2wv.com, and you can see all the activities that are going on, like Bramwell's Oktoberfest, featuring tasting, live music on the streets, fine food, more. Fright Nights at Glade Springs Resort, Fridays. Actually, they go October 9 through October the 31st. That's the Fright Nights. Zombie Run takes place October the 31st, Halloween. You can register online. For all of this and more, go to wv.com and check it out. Bunch of stuff to do in West Virginia. Here's a West Virginian joining us now on the Northside Automotive Statewide Sports Line that's going to spend his weekend in Kansas City. Travis Braden joins us. Travis, good evening to you.
Good evening, man. How you doing?
I'm quite well. How are you doing?
Oh, pretty dang good.
Let's give people an update here. So, successful race car driver / WVU aerospace student. You run ARCA the first time this summer and you win. You run ARCA the second time, rain-delayed event in Kentucky. You come in second place. And now this weekend, the final ARCA Series race of the year, you're going out to the Kansas City Speedway. Give us the lay of the land on this. This was kind of a late entry for you.
Yeah, and I think we were slacking just a little bit in Kentucky there with the second place run. So we're looking to go to Kansas. It was a little bit of a last minute deal, putting it together. Getting all the funding in place and things, and getting everything organized to get out there. It's a long haul all the way out to Kansas City. So it takes some coordination, but we're ready now. And if Kentucky was any indication of what's to come, I think we'll definitely have a good car this weekend, Friday night.
Reading about that race in Kentucky, you received a lot of positive coverage. People were really impressed by you. What'd you learn about yourself in that event?
Well, I think everybody's first of all, I think they're impressed with myself as a driver and our team, but it's just a feel-good story, and not to brag about ourselves, but, we don't have a whole lot of funding behind us, and so we have to do everything the hard way. And, it's nice to see that happen. It's nice to see people like that have success. And that's in any sport or any, type of racing or whatever it may be. But it's just been a cool deal for us. It's not very often that somebody at this stage can do that. So for us to keep doing it, and looks like we'll have another good weekend this weekend. It's just been thrilling for everybody to watch. And, whether you're a fan or not, you can't really help but pull for us at the end of the race.
What's it cost you to get out to Kansas City to run this race?
Well, first of all, I don't know if I know an exact number, and I don't know if I want to say it anyway, but, you have to think about all the time and effort that it goes into preparing a car, all the parts and pieces. These cars are custom, hand-built, everything on them is custom. And so, there's a lot of labor there, and it's a specialized trade. So that's expensive. And then you have the travel expenses to get out there. The tires, one of our tires is $500, and in a day like Friday, you'll go through at least 20 tires. So you do the math there, that's a lot of money. And so when you put all that together, then if you wreck or if you have motor issues, the motors themselves are expensive. It's very expensive. And so we've still been able to do it really, honestly, about half the cost of what most of our competitors are doing, and most of the competitors that are running up front anyway. And so that's been great. That's really been the only reason we're able to do it at all. And, I think it's been so successful so quickly, and it's really helping us, just like this deal going to Kansas at the last minute. We're getting some extra support to help us do it. So people are wanting to join in and help, and that's only making us better.
Travis Braden is an ARCA racer and WVU student by night. By the way, haven't even asked you what your GPA is going to be this semester. I don't know how you're doing all this stuff at the same time. But anyway, that's beside the point. What has to happen for you? What do you have to do in order to get a major sponsor to say, I want to hook my hook into this young guy because I think he's going to do real big things?
Well, I guess, I wouldn't know, but I think we're doing everything the right way. I think what it comes down to is, you have to be prepared for the NASCAR ranks. You have to be in a position where, as a sponsor wants to come along, you're able to get a good ride with a good team and do those types of things, whether it be, in the NASCAR Truck Series or the Xfinity Series, or even later on into the Sprint Cup Series. Those sponsors, they're going to have to spend a lot of money, and so they want to get bang for their buck, and the best way to do that is to get into a good car with a good driver. And so I think I'm doing my part. My team's helping me do our part as a team to show that I'm ready to do that at that next level, especially going to these big tracks now with these 1.5 miles and being, as fast as we are and looking as good as we are. So I think we're doing our part, and I think it's just a matter of time. It just, I don't blame people. It's very difficult. If I was wanting to sponsor a driver, if you could jump on and sponsor Jeff Gordon or me, it's I would think very hard about sponsoring me, but it'd be easier to jump on with Jeff Gordon because it's, he's a veteran. He's got all the attention. He is who he is. And so I just have to continue doing what I'm doing and having success and, showing that I have what it takes to do what needs to be done so that one day maybe I will be the next Jeff Gordon or whoever you think is the superstar. So,
yeah,
that's all we can do, and I think we're doing a great job.
TV time for Friday. When can people watch it? It's on Fox Sports 1. What time?
It's 8:30 Eastern time on Fox Sports 1.
8:30 Eastern time. If you're home this weekend or wherever you might be, Fox Sports 1, check them out. You'll recognize the car. It's Flying WV is on the vehicle. Travis, thanks so much. Best of luck to you, man.
Hey, thanks for having me on, man. Thank you.
You take care. There he is. Good story. That's a developing story right there. I mean, this kid's doing big boy things in this ARCA series, and then we'll let you know, of course, how he does after Friday's race. All right, Coach Hunter. Have we accomplished what we've needed to accomplish?
I think so.
As our final seconds tick off the big clock here?
Yeah. For Tuesday, I think we did a pretty good job. A lot more tape, though, at the website.
Got a ton of tape. We've got a bunch of interviews that were conducted today, so if you'd like to get your full fill, then go to the website, wvmetronews.com. That's wvmetronews.com. And all of the stuff that was gathered earlier today is there. Alan Taylor writes, Juwan Sider explains, going with Shell over Smallwood in overtime. What are the other headlines out there? Holgerson seeks clean game at number 2 Baylor. The SSAC high school rankings, complete form there. Check it out, wvmetronews.com. For Coach Hunter, I'm Tony Caridi. Thanks so much for being with us. Our producers, video side, Matt Sunday, J.R. Falls. Don't forget you can watch our program every night on our web stream at wvmetronews.com. We're out. Have a good night.
The Northside Automotive Statewide Sportsline has been an exclusive presentation of the Metro News Radio Network. Copyright 2015. All rights reserved.